The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Hall of Fame, no opinions are the same. Lovely chocolate in the bin for the poll, who will win? Green soda wrestling, Impel Dick ranting, air fryer Brussels sprouts, Maxi often cheats. Hey yo, let's start the show, CWF are set to go, many movies I won't know, such a fiasco. Max v Cy was pretty crap, probably won't go back to that. Max needs to wear a hat, and he sometimes cheats. Hogan is a liar, but Barry Windham is the
worst
thing. Hogan is a liar, hear all about it on Chain Wrestling.
Hey yo, just having a little boogie to our intro then, because I can hear it loud and clear.
I don't know what's going on, mate. It's very strange, isn't it? Very strange. Very strange indeed, but never mind. Never mind. It is what it is. Oh, it's Monday evening, my friend. In a gloriously sunny, warm Gloucester. It's fantastic down here.
It's been not too bad up here. It rained yesterday, but today's been quite decent.
Awesome stuff, mate. Awesome stuff. And we have got another absolutely bumper show, haven't we? Loads going on. Loads going on.
Again.
Yeah, and I also think, for our non-wrestling topic, the CWF have been pretty kind to us.
Well, when I put it forward to you, I had instant regret. Knowing how the likes of Dan and King Pig's Bladders would be so brutal, I thought this is going to go like last week, where it's going to be a half an hour of nonsense. But thankfully, they were pretty tame this week. They give us a bit of a break.
They have, yeah, with our Would You Rather topic for our non-wrestling section of the show. On the note of that, or the use of the word nonce last week, we're not going to do that this week. We're going to avoid it. It was cringeworthy. It was awful. I'm pretty certain some people who listened didn't like it. So let's avoid it, shall we? Let's cut that out right now.
Before we do draw a line under it, though, I gave you some homework of counting how many times the N-word.
You did.
Not that N-word. The
nonce.
The illegal N-word. How many times was that said?
Mm-hmm.
In the whole show.
The word nonce or a form of it, such as noncery or noncing or whatever, most of them, I will say, probably around 90% of them came out of your mouth. When I was editing the show, I had a little tally chart next to me. I messaged you after, 17 minutes? And we were already at
75,
we were already
I
up
think.
to it was after 17, 18 minutes, we were already up to about 35 times the word was used.
Jesus.
Bearing in mind, the wrestling section of the show obviously came away from that topic, and the first section of the show, that word wasn't commonplace or used a great deal. So it was only really the middle section, an hour or so, maybe an hour and a quarter, maybe. The final tally was a grand total of 95 fucking times.
Jesus wept. So
am
that's the challenge, folks. That's the challenge, CWF. Our target now is, we've got to get the 100.
No, we haven't.
Got to get the 100.
No, it's not a good look. It's not. Listening back, it was cringe, mate. It was.
Okay, then I won't say that word unless it's in the chat, and then I'd have to read it out.
No, for crying out fucking loud. No, don't. Just don't. Because we're going to end up getting banned and shit. And it just causes me grief in the long run. So let's not, okay? There we go. End of. In fact, if you check the word nonce in the chat and you're being daft with it, I'll ban you. I'll sit here on my own. I'll ban Magsy. I'll sit here on my own, broadcasting to fucking no one.
I'll censor it. I'll just go nonce.
Yeah, that works really well. And again, in the audio version, that works really well because no one can see you put your hand over your mouth. So it just seems like you've done nothing. But anyway, we had better start the show. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live, an SJP World Media production, episode 154, I think. But I am currently going back through the spreadsheet. Sharon in the chat saying I won't ban anyone. I don't know how to. It's pretty accurate, to be fair. I am going back through the spreadsheet. I am piecing together the Chain Wrestling's own feed. And that number may alter a little bit. Now I'm tidying up the shows and we'll see we all know exactly where we are.
You've done a grand job tidying up and getting all the info for the spreadsheet up for them shows. You put in some hours this week.
Oh, have I ever? I'm probably going to do a bit more tonight as well, my friend. But anyway, I am Si, and with me, as always, is the NXT to my 3 cups of tea, but more on that shortly. The takeover to my need of a makeover. The grey's coming back through in the beard again, Magsy. I'm going to have to dye it. My hair needs a bit of a trim as well. It's getting a bit scraggy at the ends. Oh, cheers, pal. A podcaster who finally lost the poll at long freaking last. Lord Mags, how are you, my friend?
I'm absolutely fine. Now, normally I would be quite pissed off that I lost a poll. Well, here we go, part 1.
I'll explain this in a moment.
But I was actually happy that you won the poll. So happy, in fact, that it was me that cast the winning vote. Because I saw with about an hour to go that it was on a 50-50, and I was not up for watching 2 almost hour-long wrestling matches. So I was the bigger man, and I voted for your pick.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Well, clearly, that's my victory then, so we share that victory.
Oh, I see the motivation now. Yeah, I see how this works. Okay. Before we dive into the chat, very quickly, I will explain the 3 T's comment in the intro and Sharon bringing me this cup of tea now. It was last week, Magsy, wasn't it? You were boasting about how glorious your Yorkshire Gold tea was in comparison to the ordinary Yorkshire tea that we drink down here, and calling us Fergals and tramps and all sorts of other stuff.
And nonsense. I wouldn't have said that it's my Yorkshire Gold. Yorkshire Gold is the people's tea. It's for everybody.
The people's tea. Okay.
Yes,
yes indeed. So I decided I'm going to try some. And I thought, what better way of doing this than to try it up against the ordinary Yorkshire tea here on Chain Wrestling and see if it is that much better, like Magsy says, or if I can tell the freaking difference. At the same time, my wife went out and bought some tea and accidentally bought the loose tea. So it's not even in a bag. So, and that's again Yorkshire tea. So I'm going to, throughout the evening, this is the first cup here, I'm going to have 3 cups of tea, not know what's made by what, make a note of it and see if I'm right. And I guarantee you I'm going to get it freaking wrong. But let's just see if there is a difference at all. So first of all, thank you, Sharon, for my first lovely cup of tea of the evening. Mm-hmm. Magsy, I also see you drinking out of something quite lovely and fetching there as well.
Yes, I was sent a lot of lovely gifts this week. First of all, I got 2 glorious bath bombs, which I think I was meant to share one with the missus, but I didn't. I used both of them. But I also got a matching cup like yours. But this one has been it's been set up especially for me because there's a little chicken on it, if you look there. So this is my own personalized hot cold flask, and it's amazing. It's got a full pint of orange juice in it, and it's freezing cold. Can't complain whatsoever.
Taryn will say in the chat, no doubt, but I think it keeps drinks hot for like 6 hours and drinks cold for even longer. They're amazing. They're really, really good quality.
It's really good quality, yeah.
You can get all of that stuff via RBF Luxuries, ran by my wonderful wife. She can do all your chain wrestling cups and mugs and thermos flask. I mean, this big beaker I got here, this thing's a monster. Look at the size of that bugger.
That's
And you got
quality.
the logos all round, but you can have the Doctor Who pod on there, Nitro Nights, whatever, really. But send myself or Sharon a DM and we'll let you know prices and how things work from that aspect. Shall we dive into the chat, my friend?
Yes, let's shall, and hopefully there is no mention of
Don't.
diddling. So
Don't.
first up, we've got Dan Griffin, and he says, evening CWF, ready for another Monday evening of mad bullshit. I mean, we're always ready. And when you're in the chat, Dan, we know it's coming very, very soon. Then he also says, quick question for me, you, and everybody else. What's your favorite NXT match ever? For me, this whole period that we covered now was when I was massively invested in NXT, the all Undisputed era. Do I want to kind of telegraph my picks for next time? Is my pick one of the best, would I say? It's probably one of the best, but not my favorite. So my genuine favorite match from NXT is the 6-man ladder match for the inaugural North American title. That match was just crazy, violent bullshit, and I was there for every single bit of it. It was such a brilliant match. Sir, what's yours?
It's very difficult to say, isn't it? I'm a massive Adam Cole fan, so I like a lot of the stuff he did. Gargano and Ciampa was it a trilogy of matches that were absolutely fantastic when they were ripping the mat up and all that sort of stuff. It's incredibly difficult to choose. I'd have to give it a lot more thought than just try and pick off the top of my head now, but there's so many. But yeah, that era of NXT, I was massively invested in. I adored that TV program, that wrestling show, and it's kind of. I was going to mention it later on when we talk about the match, but I might as well bring it up now, seeing as we had the question. It's kind of what I wish AEW was now.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of vibe, that kind of feel to it. Yeah. There you go. But
looking back on it, I mean, I haven't gone back too often, I suppose, to that kind of era of NXT, but it was probably the best wrestling that I've seen in my lifetime over a sustained period. The most invested I've been. Every week, every pay-per-view was just top draw talented wrestling. It was exactly what it said on the tin. It was like a super indie. It was just the best wrestlers doing the best wrestling. So yeah, it is hard to pick a favorite. Next we go to King Pigs Banners, and again, thank you very much for the amazing artwork. He just every week he just absolutely knocks out the park. It's just so good. And he says, Chain Wrestling Live would like to apologise for all the nonsense on last week's show and confirm a lack of nonsense in this week's nonsense. Sharon, the first lady of the SJP, I can't keep a straight face because I know that this is testing your patience so badly, sir. But Sharon, the first lady of the SJP World Media Network, says it's Monday night and you won't know what that means. Nonsense. That's what it means.
Stop.
King Pig Banner says he loved Gargano and Ciampa's final match. Yeah, the one final beat where they just destroyed the ring. Yeah, it was such a great match. Benny Mac from No Player Left Behind. Hello, sir. Doing some great stuff with the gameplay streams on the channel. He says, evening all. Cam Griffin, hello, sir. How are you? He says, favorite NXT, the 2015 takeover, just the full card. I mean, you could literally throw a dart at a list of NXT takeovers from that whole 5-year period, and you would not be disappointed. They're just quality on quality. Cam then says, evening CWF, in and out, but hopefully I'll be back later on. Well, we'll be here for you, sir. Dan says, Cam, we're a bit biased on that front foot, though. No Player Left Behind. They absolutely were. No Player Left Behind says that's one. I'm assuming he's attempting to keep count with the.
Okay.
Good luck with that, Benny. There's a lot of counting to be done, probably. Connor says, howdy, folks. Going to miss a good bit of the first half of the show. Got a trip to the dentist to make. Well, you got to look after those pearly whites, sir. You look after your teeth, and your teeth will look after you. Benny Mac, that's 2. Benny Mac, that's 5. And then multiple laughing emojis. Richard Stocks coming in, saying nonce twice, 3 times a young lady. Jesus Christ, Jimmy Savile talk there. Benny Mac on the very next comment. Get it out of your system, says Jimmy Savile 3 times. There we go. Oh, dear. Dan Griffin, 95 nonsense with beer on the wall, 95 nonsense with beer. You take one down, you smack him around, 94 nonsense with a beer on the wall. And just to confirm, Sharon did say he can't ban anyone because he doesn't know how to.
No,
Ray, how are you, sir? He comes in and says, evening. And Benny has got a lot of love for your t-shirts out, which is the Jack Daniels inspired chain wrestling shirt.
Yeah, and it says
quality
Chain Wrestling Live.
Gloucester sour mash.
Sour mash bullshit, it says.
Yeah.
And there's also one on the site.
Volume.
There's also one on the site that says exactly the same, but then quality Burnley bullshit available for exactly the same price. So I might as well show you the
classier version.
I might as well show you this one as well. Look at that. How lovely is that?
Oh,
the camera doesn't do it justice, to be fair.
It's almost like a graffiti art Union Jack, but with chain wrestling.
Exactly. So I'll reshare the links to all the merch we've got, and all the shows. Pretty much all the shows have got new T-shirts available. So dive on in, treat yourself. It helps with the running of the network.
Of course, it does, absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's bought merch previously. Thank you for your support. And like Sai says, every penny goes back into making the network a better place. Ray says the People's Tea. If you smell what the brew is stirring. I don't know why my camera went all fuzzy then. Dan says he's got one of these cups and they're absolutely ace, and Sharon is magnificent. Yep, not a single lie told there. Richard Stock says, TFR Monday, only been a few minutes and I'm sat with a silly big smile. Well, so our job is done. We might as well end the show now because we've got everyone smiling and laughing. So win-win.
I'm off now to
to edit out all the nonce talk. Sharon says you're all too kind. Thank you. Listen, I wouldn't blow smoke up people's arse. It's absolutely top draw. So Sharon also made one for my missus's TikTok account at Lou's Resin Room, where she does resin designs and things like that. And Sharon made one for Lorraine, and it's absolutely brilliant. Took all Lorraine's logo on. Yeah, she loves it. She said it's her official work mug now. So that is high praise from Lorraine.
Brilliant.
Ray says Sasha versus Bailey, my favorite NXT match. The Iron One match. What a match! That is
we've covered that on the show, haven't we? We that's one of the few NXT matches we've actually covered, isn't it?
Yeah, we have been so neglectful of NXT. It's unreal. I think that this may encourage more NXT picks.
I think so.
We may stay in NXT land for a little while. Sharon says, "Oh, she didn't answer the question." Adam Cole winning the North American title. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And she then says, "Jinx." So,
actually, that's actually a match that I think Sharon put forward on the poll when she stood in for you a little while back, Magsy.
But it didn't win.
I think I'm gonna have to have a look on the spreadsheet. I don't think it did win, did it? I'm not sure.
I don't. Well, I know we definitely haven't covered it.
No. Okay.
So
I'm pretty certain.
I'm sure we can strong arm him. King Pigbladder says he loved the KO Sammy first match. Yeah, is that the one where Sammy had won the title and then KO basically chinned him afterwards, celebrating?
I can't remember that one.
I think that's what leads up to that match, because they come in as like pretty much as best friends, and then Sami Zayn won the title and KO was jealous and gave me the power bomb, didn't he, on the ring apron. Dan says he's with Ray, but torn with Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate in Chicago. Oh, and the DIY versus Authors of Pain. Oh my God. Oh, I mean, we've got to stay in NXT for a while. These have been some brilliant matches. Benny says Aleister Black had some great matches in NXT. Yeah. Top of my head, though, was the first ever North American Championship match. Yeah, it was so good. Ori, one of my favoritist people in the whole damn world.
Amazing.
How are you, Mom? Says, look at these fan gents here. Well, we're even better now because you turned up. Thank you very much. Dan says Nakamura versus Zayn from Dallas was a banger too. Oh, honestly, I could just wax lyrical all day long about this 4 or 5 year period of NXT. We definitely have to stick around in NXT. We've got to
I'll
make
tide us
it
over till Christmas. We're done now till December. We're just watching NXT now till December.
Yeah. NXT Wrestling Live, that's what it'll be. And Dan says, Ori, welcome along. Look at that, Ori. Ori turns up and she's getting so much love. Ori, how are you, Butte? Sharon, Ori says to Sharon, been well, just been working like crazy. I know I've not even seen you around on TikTok that much, Ori, which is a shame. But glad to see you around. Benny says Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. I think it was their last match in NXT. I think Sami went to the main roster a few years later, but Cesaro was already on the main roster at the time. Yeah, did he go back down to NXT for a match? I'm sure he did. Brave pick by Ray says Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black is one of his favorites. I mean, if you compartmentalize Velveteen Dream from Patrick Clark, then yeah, I mean Velveteen Dream, he got wrestling, didn't he? He was so good at it. Benny Mac says I had a tenner the other day, bought a Yorkshire Gold tea bag, had 4p left. Well, do you know that's £9.96, well worth spending. So don't you be dissing. I mean, Saz just said if you nip to his local shop, you can get it for £2.19 for 40. That's 5 pence, 5 point something pence per brew. Can't beat that. Dan says thinks Mags has just had an NXT gasm. I mean, I'd be a costume of a bloke if I had so many NXT gasms. So I've got to pace myself. Richard says brilliant t-shirts. Will actually give an answer when asked what I want for Father's Day this year. Usually it's a no idea. Do you know, going up to stuff like Father's Day and Christmas, I never say that I like anything, because once you mention something, that's what you're getting. For the rest of the year. Like in January, you can go, oh, this is a lovely piece of fudge. For your birthday, you're getting fudge. For New Year's, for Father's Day, you're getting fudge. For Christmas, you're getting fudge. So yeah, keep your mouth shut. If you don't want just the same gift over and over, it's best to keep your gob shut. King Pig Bladder says it was NXT that kept his love for wrestling going. Yeah, it's probably the same for me. I mean, I came back to wrestling about 2016 because of New Japan, and yeah, it was NXT that had me. It was the only weekly show I watched was NXT. Still don't watch Raw, SmackDown now. Ori says, miss you both lots. If we're talking NXT matches and someone hasn't mentioned it, Gunter versus Ilya when Ilya won the title. Oh my god, Gunter versus Tyler Bate. Oh god,
my word.
Hey, Matt Lewis here, bringing the mood down, saying, hey guys, today's not been good. I've been diagnosed with arthritis for today. Wow, really sorry to hear that, Matt.
Okay.
I mean, you'll be all right because you don't do much anyway, so just work your joints less, sir. But other than that, I hope you and Chris are keeping good. Dan says Cesaro from Regal versus Regal was from a random NXT was brilliant too. You know what is a good match as well? A properly random one, and I think I've covered it for a podcast before. Carson Kidd versus Yoshitatsu, a leg on a pole match.
Don't know what that is. I've not seen that.
So Yoshitatsu was so happy that he got a wrestling figure like in his likeness, and he was parading about. And Tyson Kidd broke the wrestling figure and kidnapped the leg.
Okay.
And William Regal made them have a match where the leg was on hanging from a pole, kind of like a Vince Russo style match, but with quality wrestling. And it's an absolutely brilliant match. So yeah, check that out. It's on a random episode of NXT as well. Matt says very much need some CW today to cheer me up. Well, just don't listen to the first 10, 15 minutes where we said the N-word quite a lot of times, and not that N-word, the other N-word. But yeah, we're here for you, Matt. King Pigzadder says, sorry to hear that, Matt. Ori says, I know it's rough, but you're in good company, friends. So yeah, I mean, everybody showing lots and lots of love for you, Matt. So I think there's not a single person in the wrestling business that doesn't like Matt Lewis. Benny says, can you say fudge again, Mags? The other half likes the way you say it. Well, of course I can, and I'll even do it ASMR style. Fudge.
Oh, it faded out, mate. It didn't come through.
Fudge, 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 fudge. Sharon says, sorry to hear your bad news, Matt. And then Matt says, in other news, the volley will be here Saturday night with Italy vs Albania. There you go.
There we go.
Bit of weekend action for you on the channel. Ray says, DM's pending for best NXT matches episode. I'll be chasing for an episode appearance. More than welcome, sir. And then Benny with lots and lots of smiling emojis. Smiling emojis. There we go. And that is the chat caught up with for now. I feel we'll be back there very soon, though.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this Monday evening. Magsy, do you have anything else you wish to touch upon before we dive into our Hall of Fame fame segment?
No. I mean, I think I'm good. I think I've caught up.
Okay, great.
The Hall of
Magsy, what you got for us, mate?
Well, this one was going to be quite a quick one. And then I went down a bit of a rabbit hole just to confirm my viewpoint on this subject. So,
Well, get comfortable then.
There's a lot to cover. So, the way that wrestling works is that guys and gals fight over ridiculous storylines, and those storylines can be simple, like two people falling out, or there can be a faction split up, or a bit of jealousy over one person's success. But there's a few tropes that are used in wrestling that never seem to work, and one that always I've had an issue with is wrestling weddings. They always, well, first of all, they're never successful. You never see a successful wrestling wedding. No. Even the ones that you think are successful and headline major pay-per-views don't turn out to be that successful. So I was just going to end it there and say I want to put wrestling weddings in as the Hall of Fame. But I thought, have I missed some wrestling weddings that were successful? And the short answer is I have not. So I went back and looked up as many wrestling weddings as I could. And there's been quite a lot. So let's go back first to 1984, December of 1984, to be exact. And we have, I've lost it again now. Oh, here we go. So we start with Paul Vachon and Ophelia. That was on Tuesday Night Titans, December the 18th, 1984. So in this wedding, only heels were invited. Lou Albano actually objected to the wedding, but he changed his mind when he found out that Ophelia was not a virgin. And then Dr. D. David Schultz body slammed the groom and started a food fight. So next we have Uncle Elmer and Joyce, which happened on Saturday's main event 2, October the 3rd, 1985. Roddy Piper objected to this wedding, saying that the wrestling ring is no place for marriages. I mean, how correct he is. He then insulted Elmer and the rest of the Hillbilly family. Jesse Ventura made fun of the couple and ended up with his face buried in cake. Then we get to the one that I thought was probably the most successful wrestling wedding. It's Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth from SummerSlam 1991. and the ceremony went off without a hitch. It was the whole match made in heaven, match made in hell, double main event. But at the reception, Jake Roberts gave the pair a gift, which was a live cobra, and then the Undertaker donked Randy Savage on the head with an urn. So that didn't go down too well. The next few are all they've all got one person in common, and that's Stephanie McMahon. So on the Raw, November 29th of 1999, Stephanie McMahon and The Undertaker were in an unholy ceremony where Taker had actually kidnapped Steph and was forcing her into a dark marriage to please the higher power. Steph was all dressed in black and was strapped to the Undertaker's symbol. Steve Austin ended up interrupting the ceremony, saving Stephanie, and was thanked by Vince, who was later revealed to be said higher power.
Makes no sense.
Then we had Stephanie and Test. They were going to get married. I think that was later on in 1999. They were going to get married in the ring, and Vince was determined that his billionaire princess would have a classy ceremony. He banned Triple H and DX from interfering and said that they would be fired if they ruined it. But Trips did appear. And then we got Stephanie McMahon and Triple H getting married because Triple H revealed that he had drugged Stephanie, took her to a drive-through chapel and married her while she was unconscious. Vince then fought Triple H in a match, and if he won the match, the marriage would get annulled. But Stephanie turned on her dad, and the McMahon-Helmsley era was born. So now we'll take a little bit of a break from WWE, and we'll go to WCW, where we had Stacy Keibler and David Flair from the September the 11th, 2000 episode of Nitro. Stacy herself actually stopped the wedding when she revealed that the baby she was carrying wasn't actually David Flair's. Flair then went on a rampage because he was convinced that Buff Bagwell was the baby daddy. But this storyline was then abandoned and nothing came of it whatsoever.
Well done, WCW.
Then we go back to Stephanie and Triple H because on the Raw on the February 11th, 2002, Steph and Trips were having marital problems, but Steph thought it'd be a good idea to fake a pregnancy. She even hired an actor to play a doctor to tell Triple H all about the baby. They had a vow renewal ceremony where Triple H revealed he knew that Steph wasn't pregnant all along, gave Vince a pedigree, and ended the marriage. Later that year, on SmackDown, September 12th, we got probably the most mainstream publicized wedding in wrestling. This was Billy and Chuck.
This one I loved.
The reason why it got so much publicity is because GLAAD, which is the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, actually helped write the story and help promote it to mainstream media. Just need to.
Wouldn't be Monday night if we didn't have the Magsy cough.
You are so true.
The Billy and Chuck wedding is probably my favourite out of all of them. Well, so far, you're going to list more, I'm assuming. But when I think of wrestling weddings, that's the one I think of because Bischoff's performance was fantastic.
There's definitely more. But anyway, we will. So the GLAAD helped to promote this wedding to the widestream media. But before the ceremony ended, both guys backed out and said that they weren't actually gay and it was all a publicity stunt. The vicar then pulls off his prosthetic mask, revealed he was Eric Bischoff, and then got his new tag team 3-minute warning to attack Billy and Chuck. And GLAAD were not best pleased.
No, terrible. Really, I mean, because it could have been so positive, couldn't it, for that whole community? And yeah, and again, typical WWE at the time, just in bad taste, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, GLAAD felt like that they had been duped. That they'd been used to promote a wrestling storyline, and they were not impressed. So next we stay on SmackDown, but this is January the 2nd, 2003. We had Al Wilson and Dawn Marie.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So Dawn Marie flirted with Al to further the feud with Tori Wilson, who is Al's real life daughter. Dawn actually agreed to call off the wedding if Tori Wilson agreed to sleep with her, but Tori refused, and Al and Dawn got married in the ring in their underwear. Al actually died during the honeymoon from a heart attack when he was overly sexed by Dawn Marie.
It's so fucking terrible. Oh
It's-
my word.
Next, we have Kane and Lita from the 23rd of August 2004. So Lita actually slept with Kane to stop him from beating up her actual boyfriend, Matt Hardy. But Lita became pregnant. Kane then beat Matt in a match where if Kane won, he would force Lita to marry him. Matt tried to stop the ceremony and got beat up for his trouble. Lita then lost the baby when Gene Snitsky injured her during a match with Kane.
Terrible. Awful.
So then we go to Raw on June the 20th, 2005. And this is kind of links to the last one. Lita and Kane's marriage was going pretty well due to the shared bond of losing a baby. But in reality, Lita had actually been cheating on her boyfriend, Matt Hardy, with Edge. Matt had gone public with the story and got himself fired from the company. So to go back to kayfabe, the WWE pivoted when babyface Lita was getting booed. So they had her turn on Kane and throw a wedding ring down a toilet. Edge and Lita's wedding ceremony was interrupted by Kane, who spent the night hiding under the ring. September 21, 2007, SmackDown, Teddy Long and Crystal Marshall. So Jillian Hall disrupted the ceremony with awful singing. The Godfather arrived and most of the male guests left with the whores. Hornswoggle and Jonathan Coachman appeared from under Crystal's wedding dress. But after all those shenanigans, the wedding actually did take place. But just as Teddy was about to say, I do, he had a heart attack. A heart attack that was caused by excessive Viagra usage. Next, let's go to Nashville for a bit. TNA Impact, February the 14th, 2008. As a Valentine's Day present, Kurt Angle had given Karen Angle, his missus, a vow renewal ceremony. Samoa Joe and Kevin Nash ambushed Kurt and stripped him down to his underwear. The priest got knocked over in the scuffle, and as he got back up, he announced that you may now kiss the bride. The only problem was it was AJ Styles who was stood next to Karen, and he got very, very giddy and gave Karen Angle a big, wet, sloppy kiss. We'll stay in TNA for Slammiversary, June the 8th, 2008. Jay Lethal and SoCal Val were due to get married, but that wedding was ruined when Sanjay Dutt, who was supposed to be Jay's best man, interfered. But that wedding is brilliant because it's got Kamala as a guest in a full suit, shirt, tie, jacket, but still got the face paint on. It's absolutely amazing. Back to WWE now, and we've got Edge again, but this time it's with Vicky Guerrero. SmackDown, July the 18th, 2008. This wedding actually had already taken place. It happened earlier in the day, and we got a highlights package at the beginning of the show. But the reception took place on the show, and there was a table set up at the top of the entrance ramp, and Vicky was making matches for the guests' amusement. But the episode ended when Triple H aired some footage of his own that he recorded of Edge getting it on with the wedding planner, who turned out to be Alicia Fox. And then the last one, and I didn't even know about this one until about 10 minutes before we were going live, so I had to scramble for information on this one. Going back to Impact, April the 12th, 2012, Eric Young and ODB So they teamed up for a wild card tournament, and whilst teaming up, ODB fell in love with Eric Young and accepted his marriage proposal after they had both won the Knockouts tag team titles, the women's tag team titles. This ceremony was interrupted by Mexican America, which was Rosita and Sarita, but ODB and Eric kept hold of their titles for a record 478 days before they were stripped by Brooke Hogan because Eric was a man. I mean, they didn't know that for the 477 previous days, but never mind. Unfortunately, the marriage angle was just forgotten about and left to rot. So yeah, my entry this week is the ridiculousness that is wrestling weddings.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest there, isn't there? A lot to digest. Majority of the time, I hate when they do stuff like this. I appreciate it's sports entertainment, and they get storylines out of it and the drama. And I'm assuming that some of these popped a rating because they keep going back to it. So it must at some point have been a viable ratings winner. But I hated it, and it's one of those scenarios where we spoke about it a few times on the show, Maxie, haven't we? Where if I was sat watching wrestling and a non-wrestling fan walked in the room and sat down and said, "What you're watching?" I would be mortified if it was during any wedding segment ever.
Mm-hmm. Unless it was the end of the 3-minute warning attack.
Yes. That's that one again. I again Bischoff's, because I watched that when it first aired. I didn't twig that was Bischoff for the whole time.
No, it was so good.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea it was Bischoff. And then when he said, a wedding can last, well, I don't know what he said, like 30 years, 3 years, 3 months, or maybe even just 3 minutes. That's when the penny dropped with me, and I was like, no fucking way. That was gold. Everything else, bit ropey, innit? Bit ropey, but a brilliant and well-researched, once again, list, my friend. Awesome stuff. Mine is, I suppose, semi-linked with NXT, Magsy, my Hall of Lame this week. And again, it comes back to something that we've put in to the Hall of Lame in the past, whether it's individual cases or as a broad scope. It kind of has one foot in the camp of NXT gimmicks that are amazing, then got to the main roster, and Vince and whoever was booking would destroy them. But this guy for a while went up to the main roster and became potentially even a bigger deal for a while before it was destroyed once again with one of the most bizarre booking decisions I have ever seen or witnessed in my whole time as a wrestling fan. I'm talking about the Drifter, or Elias. Right. This guy, he had it, didn't he, to look at? He had the hair, the beard, the body, the clothes he would wear, the whole shebang. He had it as a package. He stood out. He looked the business. And in NXT, he did some pretty good stuff. His songs and so on, his crowd interactions were always well received. But the one issue we have with NXT at times with that kind of scenario is sometimes that some of the crowd interactions and so on, you almost want to hear on the bigger stage, away from that small little NXT arena and so on. When Elias made his main roster debut, straight away alarm bells are ringing for me. I'm thinking, uh-oh, this is going to crash, they're going to wreck this, they're going to screw this up, etc., etc., etc. But they didn't. It stayed as close to the NXT character as possible. He still looked badass, and if anything, the bigger arenas, the brighter lights, that bigger platform to perform on, almost elevated the character. And he got more over, in my opinion. And there's famous moments from different Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views where he would come out, go to sing a song, even backstage. And I can remember for a long time, I barely saw the guy wrestle, but he didn't need to. He was that over as the character. And it worked as a babyface and a heel, more so as a heel, but he could work both ways. The famous spot at the beginning of the Rumble with Jeff Jarrett coming out and interrupting him when he drew number 1 in the Rumble. I love that moment. That's a great moment, and the guitars are swinging and all sorts. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And then, completely out the blue, for a reason that I still to this day can't understand. And if anyone in the chat or your good self, Magsy, has got a reason, please put it forward, because I don't get it whatsoever. Just after WrestleMania, 38, I think it was, Elias was no more. And his younger brother was turning up. But it was Ezekiel, but it was the same fucking guy.
With no beard.
And everything that made him stand out. I mean, don't get me wrong, you get a lot of wrestlers who have great bodies, have long hair, and so on. But you need something to differentiate yourself from the pack, don't you? Especially in WWE, where for a while it felt very cookie cutter, especially in the mid card. Everything that separated Elias from the pack was gone. The guitar was gone. The cool gear was gone. The beard was gone. Everything was gone. And he became cookie cutter wrestler number 34. He had standard gear, no beard, and was very, very bland. The biggest thing he did in this role was the feud with Kevin Owens. Owens was adamant he was going to prove that. There you go. Pig's Bladder's in the chat saying sorry, I got to pass my cup over. Saying that the Ezekiel and Kevin Owens match storyline was great, and Kevin Owens proved he was a liar. Fair enough. But once that had gone, I don't see how WWE thought there was any legs in this gimmick.
No.
Because he was bland, as I said. There was nothing to him. So, once he was exposed as being who he really was, that was the end of the gimmick. There was never going to do anything more than that. He had to grow his beard back out, come back as Elias, but it was never the same again. And within, less than 9 months, I think, he was released and gone. And now he's working the indies and doing quite well for himself, as far as I can gather. So good luck to the guy. But my Hall of Fame this week isn't necessarily the performer, because I think that's harsh. He did the best he could with what he had. But my Hall of Fame this week, thank you, my love. My Hall of Fame this week is the ridiculous booking decision to take away everything that made Elias different and just turn him into a bland mid-carder. It's just nonsense.
It absolutely killed him. It absolutely killed him. It killed everything about him. But as you said, he's on the indies, and as Dan Griffin confirms here, he says he can't wait to go and see Elias, now Elijah, versus Joe Hendry in Newcastle next month. Yeah, that's a Thunderstruck 2, I think, with North Wrestling. Cultaholics Tom Campbell is on commentary as well. So yeah, if you have the time, definitely go and see if you can get tickets for that. But yeah, great pick. Such a waste with Elias.
It really was. It really was. But there is your entrance into this week's Chain Wrestling Hall of Fame. The ridiculousness, the ludicrous daftness, the just sheer silliness of pro wrestling weddings and what they did to poor Elias. Magsy, shall we dive through the chat quickly before we get on to this week's non-wrestling topic?
We shall. So we've got Benny saying Sensual Fudge is the name of his first album. And your next child. And Sharon says as soon as she finishes eating, she'll make cuppa number 2. Well, you have
which
now
I've got
received
here now. I've
number
got
2,
that.
so make sure you've got a cleansed palate so you can compare and contrast. King Pig Bazza says that OD Benning. Well, we'll see which is which. King Pig Bazza says that ODB wedding was the greatest. Dan confirms. He says one successful wrestling wedding. Eric Young marrying ODB in the cage when they were both in their pants. Yep, I mean it's the only one that technically is still going, even though they're not actually married. But it is what it is. Ori says the fact that they don't work out is what makes them great. Yeah, no, but it's just it's between wrestling weddings and contract signings that just piss me off. There's just no need for him in wrestling. It's ridiculous. King Pig's says that's how he wants his wedding, in a cage in his pants. I mean, that would be a spectacle. Let's no two
Just
doubt.
him in a cage. No one else. The guests can all mill around as they please. His bride can be fine. It's just him in a singular cage on wheels, and we've got to roll him in.
Wire front with a brown faded stain at the back.
Yeah, that's how you know which round to put them on. Right?
Yeah, well, you get 4 weeks out of them, don't you? Right way inside out, wrong way inside out.
Yeah, there you go.
That's grim. Benny says Sensual Fudge was Mark Henry's tag team partner. That's a brilliant one. Dan says Al Wilson's heart attack is the most realistic bit of all these. I mean, she was pretty tasty. Was Dawn Marie? So
Dawn Marie was stunning, wasn't she?
so
Absolutely gorgeous.
I'm not surprised that he didn't die of being oversexed. Amazing.
He has actually passed away now, though, hasn't he? The guy, Al Wilson, he has actually passed away in the last year or two, I think.
Because of Dawn Marie?
No, not because of Dawn Marie, Mags.
I bet that is long-term storytelling. Dawn Marie still at it, not even with the company anymore. Now I'll finish his storyline, whether it kills
Just
you.
Proper committed to the part.
Yeah. And Al just like a costume of a blow, emptied out. That's amazing. Dan says Gene Snitske said it wasn't his fault. You know what was his fault? Those brown teeth that he had. Ugh.
Oh,
they were grim.
have a word, didn't it? Have a word.
One that I didn't cover, and I totally forgot about this one, was the Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis wedding. That was lovely. That's one where he had axes in his pockets. It's brilliant. Dexter Loomis is another great character. I hope he's part of the Wyatt Six. Dan says he fully believed Teddy Long's heart attack too, a cardiac erect, if you will. Yeah, and for that he will go one-on-one with the Undertaker. And another fan of the Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis wedding, Ori. Dan says Iwa and ODB are still married until I hear otherwise. It's been a happy private marriage. That's very, very fair. Graham from Good Cop Bad Cop, which
hello, sir.
He's put forward a comment for the non-wrestling topic, and I'm not best pleased with it. It's a horrific choice, but he says
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
King Pig Banner says Lana and Bobby Lashley wedding. Did they end up having a wedding? I have not seen that one. So yeah, now one I've missed off. So luckily it wasn't a conclusive list, because there's been quite a few indie ones and smaller federation ones. So they were just the worst of the worst, I suppose. Benny says the Triple H Steph one was not bad, but was more about the story leading up to it. He needed to get away from her, and the fans wanted to see, oh yeah, she was toxic. I mean, they both were toxic. King Pig Banner said the KO versus Ezekiel storyline was brilliant. And they then said that Elias had already been replaced by Rick Bruce because he could actually play guitar and not just like one chord like Elias.
He's gone as well now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did he get a pectoral injury and then we never ever saw him again.
Yeah, they've released him, haven't they? Now?
They released him whilst he was still injured.
Yeah.
And he was a big guy, wasn't he? He looked like a muscular Freddie Mercury.
Right.
Benny says when Elias had the momentum with the Walk with Elias era, they didn't follow it up with him at all. The crowd loved it, but just didn't do anything with him. The when he was his brother, I agree, killed it. Yeah, that it got ridiculous.
100%, Benny.
And Benny then says, "Careful with the tea, sir. You're a granddad now. You may have to pee during the show."
Well, I thought about this earlier on. I was a little bit.
So he's got a bucket.
You know,
he's literally got a bucket right underneath him. Or it's catheterized. Yeah, it's catheterized. King Pig Banner says that sounds about right. And then Graham says, ha 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 ha. Sorry, Mags. No, you're not sorry, because you did it on purpose, because you know my disdain for what we are going to talk about. So
wow.
That's the chat all caught up. Let's get this over with. This ridiculous. I mean, whose stupid idea was this non-wrestling topic? Yeah.
NWT time. Oh, no wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely.
Nice. Lovely. Nice.
Ooh, lovely.
Lovely.
I still love how proper farmer that whole like intro music is. The non-wrestling topic.
That's my kid brother. That is. I said, just put a daft voice on and say this, and that's what
it's just sport normally.
Yeah, and I was like, there we go. That's it. One take aid. Our non-wrestling topic this week. Again, thank you so much, everyone who tweeted in to the show in response. It's very much just quite simply, would you rather? It's Magsy's suggestion to revisit this, and I want to say thank you so much to the majority of you, because I was expecting an evening of horrific things, terrible choices that I had to make, embarrassing, cringeworthy scenarios, but we didn't get too many of those, so thank you. This is going to be quite a pleasant one, I think, Mags.
Hopefully so.
We shall see. We shall see. We begin, and I'll read the Mike Magsy, as always, in the order they arrived into us. Sort of. We begin with Connor, at Connor Knows Footy on Twitter. And he says, here's the scenario. You are the manager of a football club who is predicted to heavily challenge for a title. Your team is good, except in two positions. You are in need of a goalkeeper and a striker, but can only buy one. Would you rather sign an American wonder kid at striker? Why does he have to be American?
Because Connor's American, he wants to be. He's putting himself in this story, I think.
Who in the previous season in the league scored 30 goals in the top flight of France. That's very specific, isn't it? An American guy playing in France scored 30 goals. I wonder if there's actually a player that he's got in mind who's done that.
I think he may have.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure he'll tell us.
Yes, indeed. Or would you rather sign a 37-year-old Champions League winning goalkeeper who's going to retire at the end of the season? So you get a wonder kid goal scorer or a very experienced goalkeeper. You can only get one, Magsy, to help you try and win the league. What are you doing?
So, firstly, if you are weak in goal and you don't have a striker you can rely on, how are you expected to be challenging for the title?
Wow, exactly.
So, this kind of don't make any sense. But I'd actually go with the goalkeeper, because a good goalkeeper can save you 15, 20 points over a season. And look at, for Man United, for example, when they took on Edwin van der Sar, who was mid-30s then, and probably looking like he was on his way out when at Fulham, and he was at United for ages and basically won all that there was to win. So I think getting a good quality goalkeeper in is more important than signing an American wonder kid. So I'd take the keeper.
I think I would agree. First of all, Van der Sar, crazily overlooked at times, because people always talk about David De Gea and Peter Schmeichel. For me, as a United fan, and I've seen plenty of games and so on, I like to think I've got a decent place to have this opinion from. Van der Sar, best goalkeeper United ever had. I put him above Schmeichel.
He'd definitely be in the shout. I think for me it would be Schmeichel, but he definitely it was an inspired signing.
Schmeichel, as glorious as the guy was, one of the best goalkeepers ever, and there was a spell where he was the best in the world. He still had a mistake in him. De Gea,
he also had a goal in him.
Well, this is true, yes. De Gea, obviously, we know his shortcomings at certain occasions. Van der Sar, I think, was much more of a steady Eddie, so I would always plump for him above that. But yeah, I would go for the goalkeeper too. And my mindset is very much a case of you build from the back. That's the way I think most successful teams are built. It's something that me and Sharon tried to copy when we were putting a team together in the amateur sort of levels in Gloucester. We tried to make sure we didn't concede before we worried about anything else. And I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been Alex Ferguson or maybe Bobby Robson. I'm not sure. Said that a good striker will of course win you games, but a good defence will win you titles. So that's kind of the mindset I would go with. I'd go with the experienced goalkeeper, I think, Max.
Yeah, same. Great minds think alike.
There we are, mate. And idiots agree. Dan Griffin, at Dan Griffin21 on Twitter, he says, would you rather breathe air that only smelled like Donald Trump's farts after a McDonald's and KFC binge, or every drink you have tastes vaguely like asparagus piss?
Now, we all know Donald Trump is a smelly, smelly bastard. In his recent court case, where he was found guilty on 34 counts, he farted multiple times right next to his lawyer. There's loads of times where he's farted with very important foreign dignitaries and people in Congress. And according to the rumors, he genuinely wears adult nappies because he just shits himself quite a lot, and he has a person who cleans himself up afterwards.
Oh my
So
God.
breathing in air that smelt like that permanently, or something that vaguely tastes like asparagus piss, there's no option there for me. I do not want a guaranteed shitty ass Trump smelling air over something that's a hint of asparagus piss. So I'll take the
See,
asparagus piss all day long.
I don't know, mate. I'm concerned by the way that he's worded this as every drink you have. We all know that I'm partial to a nice cup of tea. If that's ruined for me, I'm going to be a bit upset. But we
Okay.
also know that I do thoroughly enjoy the occasional beer. You know, I might have the odd half at Christmas, for example, and
Sounds Doc
I
Cotton.
I would I'd be so concerned that my beer would taste off. But I wouldn't want to be smelling the poopy air either.
How many times do you breathe of a day compared to drink of a day?
What, drink beer or drink in general?
Anything. Because it says every drink that you have would taste vaguely. But how many times do you drink compared to how many times you breathe?
Well, obviously you breathe a lot more, of course you do. But
Yeah,
I'm
you
thinking
don't.
you'd also end up starting to get used to it. You think when you drive through farmland and they've been muck
You
spreading.
get used to the taste of Donald Trump
No.
shit.
No, not the taste. It's the smell, not the taste. You're not tasting
Yeah,
it. You're not
but
tongue
when
punching his
you
ass, are
smell
you?
but when you smell something, smell is a very important part of tasting something. So you will end up everything you consume would taste of Donald Trump shit.
No, because it's smell. It's not taste. That's different. Taste
Right.
one is the
So
drink.
you're there happily drinking your tea flavored tea, eating your steak flavored steak, and then you put the steak in your mouth and you're chewing it, and the food mixes with the air that you breathe in. Suddenly you're eating Donald Trump shit,
Well, no, because I'm a grown-up, Magsy, and I chew with my mouth closed.
but you breathe through your nose.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But you're not going like proper taking in air when you're eating, are you?
Well, of course you are. Otherwise, you would drop down dead.
I
Death
don't
by
know.
chew.
I don't know. I don't know. Again,
I
we
would
come back to
lap up
me.
that delicious asparagus piss drink.
Would you really? Okay.
Yes.
I think I would be able to tolerate the smell above the taste.
Oh, you are a wrong un.
Yeah, again, because I think you drive through farmland. There's a lot of it here in Gloucester. They're muck spreading. It smells. Obviously, it's horrific. But eventually, you kind of get used to it.
Okay.
That'd be
I
my
am
mindset.
never visiting Gloucester again.
At Pigs Bladders on Twitter, he says, "Would you rather eat only cooked animal genitals for every meal for life, or marry Joey Barton and divorce or separation is not an option?"
Okay. There is a caveat. There's a little get out of jail clause there. So you can't divorce Joey Barton, or you can't separate from him,
Mhm.
but you can murder the fucker and do 20 years and then not have to eat cooked animal genitals for every meal for life. So I would happily murder Joey Barton and not have to eat pig dicks. So that's what I'd do. I'd marry Joey Barton, stab him up, and then I'd probably actually not go to jail because I've done the world a service.
That's not a sentence I thought I would hear when I woke up this morning. I would happily murder Joey Barton to avoid eating animal dicks. Fantastic. I would, even though I hate the guy with an absolute passion, I would go with the Joey Barton option because I think I'd end up just losing my rag and beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Being realistic, especially with his opinions on women's football. That guy can just fuck off, you know?
He's a tosser.
He is indeed. He is indeed. Pig Splatters continues. You're one of the top indie wrestling stars in the world. You're attracting attention from the big three companies. Would you rather go to AEW and deal with Tony Khan, or go to WWE and grind like you've never grinded before, or go to TNA and be a big fish in an average-sized pond? Interesting.
What a glorious question.
Mm.
But there's one fatal error. This is the non-wrestling topic. And this is a question about wrestling. So can we answer it? Shall we break the rules for King Pig's Banners?
Yeah, he does a lot
Yeah,
for
we
us,
shall.
doesn't he? He does a
Of
lot
course.
for us.
There are three great options, because if you go to AEW, the potential's there for being a big star, a rabid fan base. The place to go would be WWE, because that's the pinnacle of the wrestling business.
Mm-hmm.
But like he says, there is a grand 300 days a year on the road, and then TNA, where they do great stuff, but nobody watches it. I mean, if you were anyone who is anyone in the wrestling business wants to be WWE champion, don't they? So that's the choice you'd have to go with, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, WWE.
I think
I'd
so.
go WWE.
I reckon as well, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the other companies, and I'm 43 years old, massively overweight and a physical wreck, so it's not going to happen. But if I was in a position to choose, I wouldn't turn down AEW or TNA. Of course not. If you've got the option to go there and win titles and wrestle on there, fantastic. But the opportunity to be announced as the WWE World Champion at a WrestleMania, you can't turn that down, can you? That's what you dream of when you're a kid. Nobody, when they're a kid, thinks about, oh, I'd like to wrestle for New Japan, or I'd like to work in WCW.
Well, Japanese kids, Matt.
Well, maybe, I suppose. No, I'd go WWE as well, mate. I think I'd go WWE.
It's the only choice.
Yeah, indeed. Bang Bang Steve at Von Tugbot on Twitter. He says, would you rather blandly call a hard-boiled egg covered in sausage meat and breadcrumbs a Scotch egg, or would you take the opportunity to call it a huevos escocia in a ludicrous Spanish accent? I don't understand what this is about.
So, huevos escocia is Spanish for Scotch egg.
Okay.
So he's saying, basically, would you just be boring and call it Scotch egg, or would you go huevos escocia?
I'd just call it Scotch egg.
See, because you're boring. That's what he says. That's the difference between you and me. He sets up the challenge, and I knock it out the park. You just let your wicket fall.
Okay. Sam Pig's Bladders. We have another from him, and he says, inspired by Steve from Bang Bang Podcast, would you rather Vince shits on your head or Brock pisses on your head?
That's a horrific choice. But
Vince
is an old man.
Tricky.
His bowels are going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
So
all them protein shakes as well.
It's very likely that is. It's not a curly baba. It's loose. It's bitter.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be just a lump that drops on you and rolls off, is it? This is going to be almost like somebody stood above you with some squirty cream, isn't it, coming out of the can? Like,
I'd say more like melted chocolate. Like oozing chocolate, warm oozing chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Brock's piss is also likely to be warm, likely to be full of steroids, but at least liquid pours off and it goes relatively quickly and it washes off relatively quickly. So I think I'd take the liquidy, steroid-laden piss of Brock rather than the gooey, steroid-laden shit of Vince. And Vince would probably get off on it as well. He'd probably be wanking at the same time.
He would.
So you might get an extra dose.
Stop it.
Stickier dose.
Oh dear. I'd take the Brock piss as well, I think. I think that's not really a competition there, to be fair. No. I think that's quite an easy selection there. We have here, who is this from? MGB Graham on Twitter. He says,
Bastard.
would you rather... Oh, this is the one,
Bastard.
isn't it? This is the one. Would you rather eat an arrow that tasted like galaxy bubbles or a galaxy bubbles that tasted like an arrow? Interesting, Magsy. What are your thoughts?
I think they're the fucking same thing. It's bubbly chocolate. He knew what he was doing. This is a question that has no answer because both answers are horrific. I would eat my own shit.
It's not an option, Max.
Oh, for the fucking love of God! Right, I would eat the galaxy bubbles that tasted like an arrow because I think arrows are the biggest criminal in the chocolate business because their air bubbles are so big that they're mocking you. They know what they're doing and they're doing it in front of your face. Whisper and galaxy bubbles, at least they've got small air bubbles compared to horrific size arrow ones. So yeah, I would go with the galaxy bubbles that tasted like arrows. That was the worst choice I've ever had to make. I hate myself and I hate Graham even more.
That's the worst one you've had to make. Not Vince's shit or Brock's piss. That's the worst one you've had to choose from, yeah?
This one, yeah.
Right. Galaxy is the better chocolate, so surely you'd want to go the one that tastes of that.
There is also that, yeah, because Aero chocolate is horrific.
Mint Aero is good, mate. Oh, the new hazelnut Aero. Oh, my word, that is glorious.
Fuck off.
No, it is. It's lovely.
I'll say the N-word.
Don't
Not
do it.
that N-word, the other N-word.
I would go with the one that tasted like Galaxy. I think that'd be my choice.
So you'd eat the Aero that tasted like Galaxy?
Yeah, because it tastes like Galaxy, and Galaxy's the superior chocolate. We just covered this. What's wrong with that?
No, but it's not actually the superior chocolate. It just tastes like the superior one. Whereas the Galaxy Bubbles is the superior chocolate, but just tastes like a shitter chocolate.
No, hang on. What do you mean? It just tastes like a superior chocolate. What other purpose are you buying chocolate for other than to taste it? Surely taste is the one parameter that's vitally important when making this decision.
I agree that it is a very important parameter, but you've literally just said that the Aero is the worst chocolate, and that's masquerading as the best chocolate. And that was your pick when you could have had the best chocolate, which is the Galaxy Bubbles, which was masquerading as terrible chocolate. So you would actually be eating good chocolate. It's the whole shit flavored ice cream and ice cream flavored shit argument.
It's not.
It's one, you are eating an ice cream that tastes like shit, or one you're eating actual shit that's been hidden by an ice cream flavor. You would have the Galaxy Bubbles.
It's not the same as that at all because there's no shit involved. Either way, you're eating chocolate.
Well, there is shit involved. Aero is shit.
So if Aero is shit, why would you not eat the one that tastes like Galaxy?
Because you're actually still eating the Aero. You're still eating the shit that has been masqueraded by the ice cream flavor. Or in this case, you've been eating the shit that's masqueraded by the Galaxy Bubbles flavor. But you're still technically eating the shit. Whereas if you eat the Galaxy Bubbles, you are getting that quality chocolate. It's just pretending to be a shitter version of itself.
You're giving me a fucking headache, mate.
There is logic behind my madness. Sometimes.
I don't think there is. I just think you just go on until I give up. I think that's your whole... Oh, dear. We have Ja at Yamallright on Twitter. And he says, would you rather talk and act like Hulk Hogan for a month or talk and act like Ned Flanders for a month? And I'm going to assume that this means that it's constant for a month. You can't escape it. That is your persona for the whole four and a bit weeks. So, I don't know. Both funny colours, Max, aren't they?
Well, they're both yellow.
Yeah.
I mean, this choice is simple. Do you want to Billy bullshit all month? Or do you want to just say Oakley Dokley for Endorinos all month? It's easy. Oakley Dokley for me.
Is it really? Okay. But
would you want to be Hulk Hogan for a month? He's racist.
No. Listen.
He thinks the wrestling world revolves around him and he bullshits literally all the time. We've had about 7 months worth of Hulk Hogan bullshits on this very show.
Yeah, I read this as being Like, would you rather talk and act like Hulk Hogan? So you sound like Hogan and your mannerisms are like Hogan, but it's still you. So I'm not racist. So if I was being Hogan, I would just be a non-racist version of Hogan, and then I could
There's
use
no
that
such
to make
thing.
money.
There's no such thing as a non-racist version of Hulk Hogan.
But
You've got to talk and act like him. If he acts racist, you have to act racist.
No, I don't. That's not what it says. That's not what it means.
If Hogan regularly acts racist, you have to take on his mannerisms. And his mannerisms include signing off his tweets with HH. And we all know what HH stands for.
Hulk Hogan.
And Heil Hitler.
Oh, for crying out fucking loud. Oh dear. And finally from Twitter, fuck me. This one is a bit of a given. It's a bit of a throwaway. It's an easy one for me, and I love my daughter for sending it in. I don't think she's done this intentionally. I think she might have worded this incorrectly, but either way, I'm going to take it. And it's from my daughter Anya. She says, would you rather marry Paul Heyman and not be able to separate him, or marry Trish Stratus and divorce after 1 week? Trish all day long. Give me that lovely Canadian last for 7 days. Let's go.
For a week, though. Or Paul Heyman. Being married to Paul Heyman for the rest of it. All the stories and things that Paul Heyman could tell you. He would keep you so entertained of a cold night, hot chocolates surrounding the open log fire, and just listening to him talk about wrestling. Or just 7 days of Trish Stratus. And you're a middle-aged man. You're not doing everything you think you're doing in those 7 days. 1 day maybe, and then 2 or 3 days off for rest. So maybe 3 times maximum, or a lifetime of Paul Heyman tell you the ins and outs of the wrestling business, the behind the scenes of what happened with WCW and how he was in WWE. Come on. There's a million Trish Stratuses. There's only one Paul Heyman.
So you would marry Paul Heyman for the rest of your life? That would be your
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't say I can't cheat. I could do a liter quite easily.
Now you're bending the rules again, aren't you?
No, I am agreeing to the words that have been put down in the tweets there. Doesn't say anything about it. Might be an open marriage. Paul might be going and doing the nasty in the pasty.
See, knowing my luck, you'd be slipping one to Trish, and I'd just be left out. I'm amazed, actually. I put that down as an absolute given. Anya's one that she sent in. I thought that's an easy one, and you still managed to turn it into some kind of fucking argument.
No, I mean, your answer is your answer. There is no incorrect answers apart from the Galaxy Bubbles era one, obviously. But what you're doing there is you're taking a few moments of carnal pleasure over a lifetime of just being thoroughly entertained.
Mate, it wouldn't just be a few moments, but I'd video it. Trust me, that would happen.
The amount of wanking, I'd be a wonky popper.
Oh dear.
That tape would get worn out.
It would, mate. It would. But that is all we have from Twitter this week for our non-wrestling topic. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting involved and messaging the show with all these wonderful, crazy questions. Maxie, should we scan through the chat quickly before we start talking a little bit of wrestling?
Yes, we shall. And thank you again. That was a brilliant set of answers to that topic. We genuinely thought that it would go off the rails, but you did well there. So let's go with King Pig Banner. He says, buy 2 crap plates and pocket the cash. Oh, and Graham had exactly the same thought as me. Okay, calm down there, Mr. Glazier. That's exactly the thought I had. Let's go the old Glazer route and just fuck the team over and pocket the money. Dan Griffey says, isn't building from the back in Gloucester just parking a tractor in goal? And that didn't help him survive relegation, did it?
I've genuinely, you bastard. I've genuinely been to a game and seen somebody drag what looks like a big plough out of the goal mouth for the game to get put on.
Jesus
Legit in Gloucester, I've seen that happen.
Jesus Christ, you proper you're hillbillies, aren't you? You're actually hillbillies. King Pig Brother says he loved Fabian Barthez. Yeah, I don't think he was as brilliant as a keeper as the three we mentioned, but as a character, the guy was
comedy gold.
Yeah, him and it was Laurent Blanc at the at Man United at the same time. Actually, I remember him kissing Baldy Bartez's head, didn't he?
Mm. He came on in a pre-season friendly, didn't he, and played like left wing or up front. Barthez. Have you seen the footage of that?
I've not. Was it good? Was he good?
It's funny. It was Andy. Yeah, it was all right. And the opposition weren't very good, but yeah, it was quite funny.
So Graham says Mags dropping the maths. Exactly. So I think this was in the question about farts or asparagus piss. I think I'm right. Sharon says you become nose blind after a while, and in that context, you would also become taste blind to asparagus piss, wouldn't you?
I don't
know. Graham says you could also be annoying as fuck. I mean, easy for us. We're experts at that. He says, and get Joey Barton to divorce you. Yeah, exactly. It's all in the word.
That's a good shape. Didn't think of that. Yeah.
I'd still rather murder him, but it's just easier, isn't it?
I'd still rather murder him. Okay.
Sharon says AW for the win. Anything to look at Cole, Jay White, and Hangman Page. So you'd put your career at jeopardy just to look at three average-looking blokes, especially when you've got Steak at home sat right in front of me.
I've got the best hair out of all three of them.
Yeah, definitely. The longest and beard. Although Jay White does have a nice beard. Ori says, I'm with Sharon, just let me stare at Kenny Omega. Do you not think Kenny Omega's putting a bit of timber on recently? Getting a bit
I've not seen him recently.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a, is it called steroid belly, where you're muscly but you've got a paunch?
Okay. Do you think really we're in a position to judge Kenny Omega's physical attributes?
I don't think so, to be fair. Dan says he'd go to TNA. Shock. Only work for a couple of weekends a month. Yeah, and only get seen by a couple of people a month as well. Cam's back. Hello, sir. How are you? Dan would happily take the Lesnar piss, apparently. And he definitely put happily in that comment. Definitely put happy. I think Ori was horrified by both picks. I mean, what if something went in your mouth?
I mean, honestly, sticking in your beard, my hair.
Yeah, in your eyebrows. Pooey eyebrows.
Yeah. Oh. It's not good luck, is it? Not good luck.
Good cop, bad cop. Graham says, getting stung by a jellyfish on the head to at least justify choosing Brock like he was doing you a favour. I mean, Brock is the kind of person, though, if he wants to piss on your head, it's happening. You can struggle all you want.
You don't get a choice.
Eventually, that golden shower is happening, and you are the recipient. That's the facts. King Big Bastard with a good fact here. He says Brock's piss will make you stronger. Yeah, exactly. And
it's like Popeye's spinach.
Yeah, except more disgusting tasting, very bitter and angry. Ori with the most sensible comment so far. I think it's time to close YouTube now. Graham says, I'm glad I got to see this live. Triggered Mag so bad he would rather eat his own shit and nearly say the N-word. Not that N-word, though. The other N-word. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't. The one is banned. One does get brought up a lot, and it makes Sa absolutely cringe. Cam says he forgot how much he enjoys this wrestling podcast. I mean, it was slowly steered into wrestling with King Pig Blazer's question, but yeah, it is a wrestling podcast. I promise. We'll get to some wrestling very soon. King Pig Blazer says bubbly chocolate talk should be banned like scone talk. Yeah, should, and it is scone, not scone. This is the same man who did a whole play-by-play podcast about the dog show. There was no figuring that was a quality episode. See, I do the things that no other wrestling podcaster wants or needs to do. I go the whole hog.
Funny that's been brought up And it's funny that Ori's here as well, to be fair. It's wonderful, don't get me wrong. But I was literally, I think last night, talking to Sharon about a change in attitude and saying I missed the show. I used to listen to it every week. It was bloody brilliant. And I wish it would come back in some form. Well, I know everyone's busy and it's not the case, but it's just weird how we were talking about it literally last night. And then here's Ori for the first time in a while. It's great to see you, by the way, Ori.
I mean, it's never off the cards. Never say never. It definitely could happen. So
I know a network that would carry it as well.
Well, exactly. And it's almost like everything. All the dominoes are in place for it.
Wow, there we go.
Dan says an update just for Sar. Trish Stratus still follows him on Twitter. Have you sent her a dick pic though, Dan? That's what we all need to know. And has she reciprocated?
I hope not.
Cam says, I bet Heyman is a great little spoon.
Yeah.
Would you not want him to be the big spoon though? Because he looks like a cuddler. He looks like he feels safe in his arms.
He's only a little bloke, isn't he? So the big spoon I think the big spoon needs to be a bit bigger, sort of, you know.
Well, obviously,
yeah,
the old big spoon, little spoon thing. But yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's in the name, Maxie. It's in the name.
But then, would you want him face to face with you, or would you want the back of him, or would you just want separate twin beds? I think twin beds would be the way to go.
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds. Brilliant. Nailed it. He's having bottom bunk.
Yeah.
King Pig Banner said, take Trish, then pick up Heyman on the rebound.
That's just greedy.
Can you imagine Trish catching you and Paul Heyman bang at it and just being disgusted in you? Oh. And then we ruined it by this one. Oh my God, Liv is sat next to me. Apologies, Liv. Apologies.
Sorry, Liv.
Naughty daddy.
I apologise.
Graham says, whenever I see Bartez, I now only think of Viz Profaniosaurus definition. Bartez, a bold twat. I mean, it's not wrong, is it? He was bold and he was very much a twat.
He was.
Ori says, Brock, he had... Kenny had diverticulitis that would give anyone a belly. Well, surely they took away part of it. Surely it'd be going more. But then again, Brock has had diverticulitis and he's got definitely not a steroid belly. Warning, there's a third cup of tea on the income.
Oh, okay.
Ori says, bring back a change in attitude. Well, we summoned Ori by saying it out loud, and Ori would definitely be, well, let's converse about it. And then Dan says, I've never sent anyone a dick pic, never mind Trish. I'm too scared to even at her in case she realizes the error of her ways and unfollow. So basically, you are sneakily just cyber stalking her. And the minute she cottons on, the game's up. So do you go onto her page and I mean, what can you do differently if she follows you? I don't get it.
You just DM her, can't you?
But he daren't DM her in case she realizes she's following a no mark like Dan, and then just bags him off.
It's just bragging rights in it to wind me up.
Yeah, but you've got to abuse that facility, surely. Not abuse it in a bad way, but strike up a conversation with her and then send Sar screenshots. And watch him cry live on Chain Wrestling.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the chat I'll cut up with.
Fantastic stuff. Okie doke. Magsy, I suppose all that is left for us to do now is to dive into a bit of wrestling talk, isn't it?
It is. Let's do it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okie doke. I want a poll. I want a bloody poll.
I want a poll. And
amazingly,
it wasn't because of me.
Are we going to get rid of the comment about Dan's dick pic, or we're just going to leave that up for the rest?
No, we'll leave it up. Might as well. We can put this one. I'd rather be blocked by Hogan than followed by Trish. And then Sharon, I'm like Beetlejuice. Oh yeah, where you mention her name 3 times, and here she is.
the winning choice for this week's poll was a NXT title match that came to us from TakeOver Portland in 2020, Tomaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole. The background to this was very much the case of Ciampa got injured. It was a neck injury, Magsy, wasn't it? He was out for a very long time, had to vacate the title, never lost it. He has made his return, and here he is to, I suppose, claim his championship back.
Not just the championship. This belt meant so much more to Tomaso Ciampa. This was Goldie. This was his property. Did you shine a torch in your own eyes?
It's my little light on my pen, isn't it? Look.
Oh yeah, it's that one you got from your job. What was definitely not spying on you. Yeah.
It's my spy pen. I clicked the button by accident like that because I fidgeted and just shined it in my freaking face.
So yeah, the title meant so much to Ciampa. It was his pride and joy, and even in the build up to this match, I think NXT did like almost an invasion of SmackDown and Raw, and there's a scene where Triple H has got all the main characters of NXT in the Raw ring, and you see Tomaso Ciampa still got his eyes on Adam Cole's title whilst in that lineup. He played this obsessed role to perfection.
Yeah, indeed. The show begins with Poppy playing the theme, very of its time metal kind of effort.
Somebody in NXT at that time absolutely adored Poppy because she was on the show quite a lot.
Right, and I was going to ask, has anyone heard of her since? Has she done anything since?
I'd not heard of her at the time.
No, nor me. No,
I'm sure she's got some Poppy fans out there, but can't say I'm one of them.
No, I'm not a particularly big fan, to be fair. On the topic of music, though, the Undisputed Era and Tomaso Ciampa's entrance themes, absolute bangers, aren't they? This is some good stuff.
This is the whole CFO $ era, and there were so many NXT tracks that were absolute. You could have them in the Spotify playlist, and they are absolutely bangers. Alistair Black's one was amazing as well. What two amazing walkout tracks they are. Super.
Fantastic stuff. I love the Undisputed Era, Mags. Just that I got such Horseman vibes from it, but different and better in a lot of ways, and just
very much better.
Fantastic. Oh, for God's sake. Not very much better, just better in different ways.
No, well, for me, very much better. I think they're
all inspired by the Horsemen anyway. The Horsemen started it all.
They're one of the best factions that we ever had. Absolutely amazing. And like we said at the beginning of the show, this whole 4 or 5 year period of NXT, we were spoiled. We were genuinely spoiled by just quality wrestling week in, week out, and then every 3 months we get a takeover, which it not only set the kind of stage for a pay-per-view weekend, but more often than not, it was better than the WWE offering. It was just just banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, I agree. The match begins then with a pretty standard start of a contest, a few tie-ups, a few headlocks, and so on, before we end up on the outside of the ring and we're chasing each other around and so on. Okay, thank you. We get a moment with Cole trying to drop an elbow drop, though, as Tomaso Ciampa is coming into the ring. He's in the ring, Ciampa's trying to come in, and Ciampa just rolls out the way and Cole misses the elbow drop. So simple, but I thought that was really good. I thought that was a brilliant spot.
I love this whole first 5-10 minutes of this match where you get little periods of classic mat wrestling, headlock takedowns and things like that. And then a tease that the pace would pick up and we'd start seeing more kind of contemporary wrestling. And then it slowed back down to the mat wrestling. I thought that was a real good way of not only stretching out the time, but not making it look as if we're going to get a boring start and then build up to a crescendo. It felt like the crescendo could come at absolutely any time.
Yeah, I agree. in all these headlock spots and so on. I word it that way, and I don't mean it to sound like it was boring, because it wasn't. It was. I say headlock spots, and they used a lot of them and so on. And normally that would lean towards being quite slow and repetitive, but it's not the case at all here, Max. It was much better than that. But one of them, Tomaso Ciampa, interestingly, reaches back and cups Cole's leg as well, and kind of bends him in half.
And his foot is almost touching his face.
Yeah, that is brilliant.
It's just what a simple kind of like change up from a typical headlock, and it looked brutal, absolutely brutal. These guys were on it, absolutely on it. Just brilliant chemistry with each other.
Yeah, indeed. Pretty much anything Adam Cole tries in these early portions of the match, Ciampa counters. He goes for all standard moves and then some always more spectacular go-tos in his arsenal. Ciampa counters a great deal of them. It seems like Cole can't catch a break until he hits a pump kick on the outside, and it looks like finally Cole is going to take control for a little while. And I've even got that written down in my notes saying Cole's going to take control, and then in the very next line says nope, because Ciampa just loses his shit and goes crazy on the outside, smashes him all over the place, and ends up kissing a bald guy's head.
That was just after he'd done a full sprint, all the full length of one of the ringsides, and done the Ciampa knee to the face, which he pulls off so many times. And he the thing that angered Ciampa was Cole sitting on the ring apron and doing the clapping and backslapping. Which is obviously was one of Ciampa's things, and that pissed him right off. And he just went absolutely mental and just destroyed Adam Cole with that. But like I said, the guy who he ended up kissing him, he was desperate for a half, and he was literally in Ciampa's face. So Ciampa just grabbed his head and kissed his bald head, which I think the guy got a Teddy Long style stiffy and had a heart attack after that.
Yeah, indeed. Adam Cole flips him onto a table as well here, doesn't he? From the outside, he's almost got a waist lock where he's got his legs hooked and he drops back and throws him over. It's like a really loose German suplex kind of effort, isn't it?
But Ciampa's back goes across kind of like the lip of the table, and you've got to bear in mind that this is a Ciampa that had just come back from career-threatening neck surgery. I think he'd had a fusion surgery in his neck, and to take a move like that, it makes it. You feel his pain. You absolutely feel his pain, but Jesus Christ.
Indeed. This begins Cole working on the neck area, which is obviously going to be a target anyway because of Ciampa's injury. And we get head scissors and lots of other moves where the neck is involved. And again, it's logical, Max, isn't it? It makes sense that he would target this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's times where even when Adam Cole is doing mat-based wrestling, he wraps his legs around Ciampa's neck and squeezes. Everything is focused on the neck. All the attempts at the Ushigoroshis all on Ciampa's neck, and he's selling it like a champ. There's points where he's face down in the ring, and you can see the veins in his head, not even popping out of his neck or his muscles, genuinely across his skull. The veins on Ciampa are popping out because of the pain that he's going through.
Yes, indeed. We get a pretty cool spot in the corner as well. I mean, Cole does it a couple of times with super kicks to other parts of the body, but on this occasion, Ciampa is up in the corner, facing out of the ring. Cole slides out from his position, kicks him in the leg, and then turns it into like a backstabber or backcracker, whatever it's where the knees go into the back and he takes the bump himself, kind of thing.
Well, I don't think he kicks him in the leg. I think he kicks him in the ball sack.
Okay.
Yeah. He literally the super kick goes to the ball sack, but he does that all the way through the match. There's a point where Ciampa thinks he's got the super kick telegraphed and puts his hands up to protect his head, and he gets kicked in the knee, and that takes him down. So the super kick is massively overused, but I do like the way Cole mixes it up, and it's not always super kick to the face. It like I said, it's kick to the back of the head, kick to the knee, the bollocks. He mixes it up.
I love that sort of thing. And again, it gives me throwbacks to our, talking about the Horseman earlier, throwbacks to Arn Anderson. Now, Arn Anderson never threw a super kick, don't get me wrong. That would look very strange. But Arn used to feint to throw a punch so the guy would duck down and Arn would just, quick as lightning, grab him and DDT him.
Yeah.
And it's that little feint and the guy reacting. It's got to be done and the timing has got to be spot on for it to be believable. And I think Cole and Arn back in the day, they get that timing absolutely on the money, Max, don't they?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Great comparison there.
We see Cole attempt a Panama Sunrise, which is a pretty spectacular move, but it's one of those that I look at and think, I could do without seeing that, to be fair. But
It's a bouncing Canadian destroyer, isn't it? It's a Canadian destroyer and he's added the bouncing.
Yeah. But he doesn't complete the move because Ciampa manages to get, I think, a kick up, a knee up into Cole's face to send him flying. And then he fires up quite a bit, Ciampa, doesn't he? And he's good at this. He plays crazy bastard really well. But I also think he plays
Psycho killer.
Fired up, making a comeback really well as well, doesn't he? Because he hits loads of clotheslines here. And Cole is bumping all over the place. Cole is working really hard to make Ciampa look good. And then he takes a brutal German suplex at the end of what I didn't count, but it must have been 5 or 6 clotheslines on the bounce, mustn't it?
Yeah. There's one that spins Adam Cole 360 degrees. Yeah. It's Ciampa is such a good psychological wrestler. He's obviously got the technical chops, one of the most underratedly talented wrestlers we've got, but he's so good at being that crazy unleashed wrestler, but also being that very calm, collected but vicious style of wrestler. So yeah, I think Tomaso Ciampa is absolutely superb.
Yeah, indeed. The air raid crash is a move that is also pretty spectacular. We've seen one off the top of the cage in the War Games match. We have one here from up on the ropes into the canvas. Pretty straightforward when you look at it, when they execute it. But again, I think it's very, very dramatic, Max. It has a real impact, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean the move itself, I think it's brilliant. And the way Ciampa's got no fear from doing it from, like you said, the top of the cage, the top rope, from the ring apron to the floor. My only issue, and this is being very nitpicky, is the setup for both times that we see the air raid crash. Almost botched. They feel very botched.
Clunky,
the one on,
very,
the one on the top rope was probably the clunkiest, almost as if Adam Cole had gone for a move and then slipped, and then they had to set it up again. But the one on the one on the apron where Adam Cole goes for the Panama Sunrise and then gets caught, they just both look really, really clunky, and they were the 2 low points of the match for me. And that's not taking anything away from them. The match is superb, but if there was ever a reason to not give it top marks, you would look at those two times they went with the air raid crash.
Oh, interesting you say that. We will come to that shortly. Tomaso Ciampa, he power bombs Cole on a table. That looked very, very sore. Table didn't break though, so he did it again just to make sure.
Yeah.
This time he does go through the break. Yeah, this time he does go through the table. We then see a move called Project Ciampa as well. Is what Mauro Ranallo was. Oh, interesting enough, Mauro Ranallo on commentary. I've not heard that guy's voice. It's probably since the NXT days, because I've not gone back and watched a great deal of this time frame. I remember it being very good, but I've not gone back and watched much. So it's the first time I've heard Mauro Ranallo on commentary in a long time. When he started the match, for about 30 seconds or so, I felt to myself, "Oh, you need to calm down a bit, mate. You're getting on my nerves."
No.
But as the match went on, I was like, nah, I was wrong then. This guy is the business.
He is. He's superb, Mauro Ranallo. The whole Mamma Mia stuff and the memes, but the guy he shows the passion that you have watching it as a fan. And whilst we're on Mauro, obviously he's not with NXT anymore. Before the match, there was like a bit of an advert for something coming up on the next weekly show, and it had Renee Young, it had Mark Henry and Keith Lee all would be in the performance center the next week, and then we had Nigel McGuinness on commentary as well, and and then Adam Cole in the match. Just how many of those NXT stars are now playing their trade in AEW? It just quite shocking, really.
It is. It is. Cole hits a dive to the outside. Well, attempts to anyway, but Ciampa does counter it. You don't see Cole dive very often, do you?
And they mentioned that in the match. Mauro Ranallo says that you don't see him do the Tope Suicida, and for his troubles, he got the old classic Ciampa knee in the face. So that's probably why you don't see it.
We have a suplex that is turned into a neckbreaker in midair by Cole, and again, those moves always look. There's no way of working that to be completely safe. That they always look so brutal, don't they?
Mm-hmm. That was the Ushigoroshi in it onto the knee.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
It is that.
We get the last shot by Cole, which is that running knee strike that he hits, and Ciampa drops to the mat, rolls over, and clutches the bottom rope desperately so he doesn't get pinned, because he knows he won't be able to kick out if Cole managed to grab him. And I love that. Just that little thing of, that move's done me. I need to get to the rope. It's so simple, but such brilliant storytelling.
Yeah, and it also it's a callback to earlier in the match when Ciampa was on top. Cole was doing anything to roll out of the ring, and Ciampa was getting very frustrated with it. But when Ciampa was in the weeds, he went back. He went to the same formula of getting to the ropes as quick as possible. So it was a good kind of like callback to them both being in the same position at different points in the match.
Yes, indeed. Air raid crash on the apron as well.
Again, looked a little bit clunky, but brutal all the same.
Yeah. A Panama Sunrise on the outside also. Cole jumps off the announce table, I think, for that, doesn't he?
He does. And then this, again, and it's being nitpicky. I don't think Ciampa sold it for long enough. I mean, this is the Panama Sunrise is meant to be one of Cole's kind of finishing setup moves. And Ciampa selling had been immaculate all the way through the match. He really put on how brutal, especially to his neck, that this whole match had been. But once he was Panama Sunrise, he was back in the ring within 10, 15 seconds, which just felt a little bit more selling there would have made more sense. But we are getting into the thick of the match now, so I can understand that spots have to be got in.
Yes. Cole climbing back into the ring after that Panama Sunrise gets hit with a DDT on the way in by Ciampa.
The draping DDT.
Willow's bell. Is it? Willow. Okay, right.
It's named after his daughter. His daughter's called Willow.
Right. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. They exchange a couple of crossfaces as well, which
I thought was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, obviously the crossface is a bit of a taboo move, but the way that they pull it off, and the way that Ciampa first of all escapes, and then with his injured arm is able to lock in the crossface for his own by using his good arm to grab his injured arm, and to pull it into place. Wow, brilliant. Just that little tweak on a standard move, and it elevates it.
We then start getting the, I suppose, semi-expected interference, don't we?
Semi-expected. I mean, this is an Adam Cole Undisputed Era match. There is no way there is not going to be shenanigans.
Yeah, the Undisputed Era are out. They do what they normally would do. You have one guy distract the referee, the other two try and jump yeah, exactly. We then also have the title belt thrown into the picture for a belt shot to be used. The ref takes a ref bump as well during the process of all this. There's an exchange of low blows between the two guys in the ring. They just kick each other in the dick.
Ciampa's was brilliant. So Cole's, he was down, and then when Ciampa comes out to him, he does the classic arm through the legs and the fist up through the back, the classic nut shot. But Ciampa's was amazing. Cole went to the ropes, and as he was coming down, Ciampa just full on volleys him straight in the gonads. Brilliant. It's just superb.
Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, but there's no referee. So
Nope.
that's Scupper's, and he's got the title won here. The crowd are all chanting and counting and so on. He's got the title won, but it's not going to happen.
13.
There you go. Johnny Gargano arrives in a DIY t-shirt. He picks up the belt. Well, he takes the belt off Ciampa, doesn't he? Because Ciampa looks like he's going to use the belt, or it's kind of in between them.
Yeah, it almost looks like Johnny's there to offer the belt to Tomaso, and then when Tomaso goes to grab it, Johnny essentially just snatches it off him. He clocks Ciampa with it, and then Cole ends up getting the pin. And after all the shenanigans, it was a return to one of Ciampa's biggest feuds in the company, and also kind of leaned back into the fact that they were amazing friends, and then ended up being the worst of enemies. So normally I'm not a huge fan of these kind of multi-layered ends to matches, but in terms of this, it absolutely made sense that Johnny Gargano would be the person that screwed Tommaso Ciampa over.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's it then. That's the end. Cole retains, the wonderful music plays, and that is the end of that. Magsy, your final thoughts, mate, and out of 10, what are you thinking?
So this was half an hour of absolute bliss. It's up there with some of the best wrestling that I've seen in my lifetime. Like I've said multiple times, this era of NXT, I was all invested in it, and it's just banger after banger. A few little nitpicky points stop me from giving it a perfect score, but it's fucking brilliant. It's a brilliant match. It stands up today as absolutely outstanding. It's a 9.5 from me.
Ooh, okay, that's very, very high. That's very high. And I'm nearly at the same levels, mate. Nearly. I've got 9. And I was well on course. I said to Sharon, normally when I watch these matches, I'll go back downstairs after watching them, get ready for chain wrestling and so on. And she'll always say, "Did you enjoy that match? What did you think?" And I said to her, it was on course for a 10. I enjoyed it that much. It was on course for a 10. All the shenanigans at the end felt a bit too much. And I know it could potentially be a little bit nitpicky. It could be a little bit, a little bit hypercritical maybe. But to get a 10, it's got to be, wow, blow me away, nothing wrong with it, almost, This here, we had the ref bump. Okay, that's fine. We had the belt involved. Okay, that's fine. We had Undisputed Era involved, and then Undisputed Era involved again. We had the low blows. We had Gargano. All of those things are fine individually. But all of them at once at the end of a match, I don't think it needed all of it. It was almost like there was too much thrown at it. It was a little bit overbooked, maybe. I don't think you needed every single thing they threw at the end of this, and it became a little bit over the top for me. So that's why I'm knocking it down from potentially being a 10 until the Undisputed Era came out, down to a 9.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair. It's not a perfect match, but it's damn near close.
I reckon, mate. I reckon. There we go. Where, Magsy, where would you like to go next week?
Okay, so I said at the beginning of this show, I feel that we have neglected NXT and we should stick around here for a little while. And I think we should go one further. I think we should stick around with this pay-per-view for a little while. Dan's mentioned the match in the chat. I want to watch Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijak. I tried so hard to finish before coughing.
Yeah, you're very close, mate. You're very close.
I want to watch Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic for the North American title that opened this pay-per-view.
Wow. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to do a little bit of a pivot here because that was going to be my choice as well. And we must always have a choice.
Okay. So I had a second one.
Okay.
And yet again, it is from this pay-per-view. It was Finn Balor taking on Johnny Gargano from the middle of the card.
Okay.
Another banger.
I don't remember that at all.
And yet you wanted to put forward the curtain jerker.
Yes, because I said last week that I wanted to look at this Cole Ciampa match, and Dan, I think it was in the chat, said how could you have gone with Cole and Ciampa when you've got Lee and
what those two
Dominic.
guys do at £300 each.
Yeah,
it should be illegal.
And then you turned around and said, well, I'll tell you what, if you vote for Sai, he'll have to put the other one up as an option for next week. So that's just what I was doing.
I forgot what happened last week.
Okay, well, there you go. We're sticking with the same pay-per-view, whichever way we go. And I think we're going to be on a little bit of a run here, Max, aren't we? With some NXT and some bloody good wrestling, if it is.
I will kind of give the game away from some of my upcoming picks. I want to cover so much of the Tomaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano story because I don't think they had a bad match.
No, I agree. I remember very fondly that era. Yeah, so that's going to be good. But those are your options for the poll to decide where we go next week. We have the match from NXT TakeOver at Portland 2020, Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano. Or we have the match from NXT TakeOver Portland 2020, Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic. That's how you pronounce it, isn't it?
Dominic Dijakovic.
The poll will... Yeah, okay. The poll will be up later in the week. The audio version should probably be out sometime tomorrow, I would imagine. And the poll will be up shortly after that. Make sure you're voting, retweeting, etc., etc., etc. Because as Maxie and I always say, this is your show. You decide what we do and where we go. No pig splatters, no fucking 50-50s, please. Thank you very much. I see that in the chat. Before we dive into the chat and... any of Hogan's lies and so on, I just quickly want to open this envelope Sharon has dropped off, telling me what tea was what, to see if I'm accurate. I think the first cup I drank was the loose tea.
Okay.
The second cup I drank was the normal was the normal Yorkshire tea, and the third cup I drank was the gold. That's what I think. So Sharon's put here the order she put them in, and I've completely got it fucking wrong. The first cup was the gold, which I thought was the loose tea. The second cup was the loose leaf tea, which I thought was normal. And the third cup was normal, which was gold. So I didn't get a single fucking one right, Magsy.
What an absolute clown.
What a shit show.
So basically, gold, Yorkshire tea gold is wasted on a heathen like you.
It looks that way, mate, doesn't it? It really does look that way, because I thought it was something completely different.
Stick to your Tetley.
Fuck off, Tetley. Are we diving into the chat, or shall we get to Hogan's lies?
No, we shall cover some of these chats. So you asked about Poppy. King Pigbladder said she was ground down to make opium. And Dan says he watched Keith Lee versus Dijak before catching up on Ciampa Cole. That was incredible. Yep, it is. I mean, it's the reason why we both went for that as a first ballot pick. Cam says they'll never be able to be double denim on Anderson, though.
There you go.
I may have been misremembering this, but weren't you once bidding on an Arn Anderson figure with his arse cheeks hanging out?
Yeah, I won it.
Brilliant.
It's not his arse cheeks hanging out. There was something.
Yeah, the paint's faded off. The paint of his shorts has faded off.
It's something to. I didn't buy it because of that reason. I just wanted the Arn Anderson figure. But there must be something with these 1990 WCW figures, because all of them, you look online, so many of them have just got the arses rubbed off.
I remember you sending me the picture, and it looks weird.
Yeah, it does, but it's okay. He's on the shelf downstairs with Rick and Sting and so on, and he's got his arse facing the wall, so nobody could see. We're keeping Arn Anderson's dignity at that, you know.
I mean, he was bold at 25 years old. His dignity's left him a long time ago.
I think being bold isn't as bad as walking around with your arse out, is it? Surely.
There's pros and cons to both, I suppose. Dan says that one move from this whole thing that sticks with me is the wheelbarrow suplex onto the edge of the announce table. Yeah. On Ciampa, though, who, like we said, has literally just come back from career-threatening surgery. Dan then says he would give this match an 8 because he gave Dijak and Lee a 9, and this match isn't as good as that for me. 50-50, 50-50. Well, I may have to use my sneaky veto and vote for a winner if it's close to a 50-50 at the end of the count next week.
We've only got a certain amount of time. If we end up having 50-50s, we'll have to drop something else. So,
see, Sharon's trying to encourage the 50-50, and also she's pissed off that you've got the teas wrong. And then Sharon, get him own brand tea from now on. Exactly. You might as well get him River Swill, because the heathen couldn't even tell the difference between Yorkshire tea and Yorkshire tea gold. Save money now. 25p tea bags. That's what you should just get him.
I'd know that.
Know the difference.
I'd tell that straight away.
I don't think you would. But don't even get tea. Just find grass on any kind of grass. Just chop it up, make him a brew. He won't know the difference. Put a bit of sugar and milk in, and he'll be like, "Oh, this is a lovely cuppa. Is this tofu?"
Cough, Max. Tell me about Hogan's bullshit, for crying out loud.
Let's go for it.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Liar, pants on fire, hanging from a telephone wire. Squirming, pants are burning. When I lie, my hips start turning.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Look, man, I made a mistake.
So, Mr. Hogan, he once claimed that for some inexplicable reason, he was paying off 2 car loans at the same time when he was a teenager. And he had a hell of a credit score because of this. The problem is that credit scores didn't exist until 1989, and by then he was middle-aged and in the WWE. So, yeah, he's a bullshitter.
What
a thing to lie about. What a fucking thing to... Of all the things, I mean, lying about wrestling and his career and stuff like that, saying that you're paying off... What's the flex? What is the flex that you're paying off 2 car loans at the same time?
What do you get from that?
Yeah, prick. What a mustachioed bell end.
Oh dear. We have a couple more comments in the chat, Magsy, to get at, and then we will get out of here, I think, shall we? Before we depart?
We will, and says that's next week's tea challenge. Own brand versus Tetley's.
I'm all teed out, I think, now. That was a lot of tea in the last 2 hours.
Connor coming in clutch and saying that his non-wrestling topic answer was a reference to Florian Balogun, who scored 21 goals and 2 assists whilst on loan at Reims in the 2023 season. But the 30 goals was just a made-up number. Sorry, through us with the 30 goals, so we won't be able to find out who were. But it was a great question.
21 goals, if you said 21 goals, Maxie, you and I would have tweeted straight away.
Instantly.
Straight away. There we go. Magsy, do you want to let everyone know whereabouts they can find your good self online?
I shall. So I have a Twitter and X account, but I only use it for this show and this show alone, mainly to snaffle the graphics from King Pig Banners and to highlight the comments from the NWT. But you can follow it if you wish at PodfatherMags. Or more interesting would be to follow me on TikTok, where I have videos of chickens and gardening and other weird northern things. And that's at PodfarmerMags.
Weird northern things. Dan Griffin in the chat here saying that we're ignoring his last comment, wasting comedy gold, and so on.
I did not see it, Dan. I apologise.
He says here, Si's been collecting figures for years and only just realised it's the Hasbro Chaps collection.
I don't think that figure had any issues with his arse hanging out before Star got hold of it.
Just rub it in with thumb, right?
No, not your thumb.
Stop it. What is wrong with you?
I think you were noncing an Arn Anderson figure.
How does that even work? Because, Arn Anderson himself is of age.
How old was the figure? When was the figure produced?
1990. So there you go. The figure's 24. Not that I was doing anything to it.
34. The figure is
34, sorry,
34 years old. So you
Oh.
just got. So you weren't nonsense it, but you were abusing it.
No, I wasn't. Well, anyway,
in
anything
a
I
sexual
am
way.
involved. Anything I'm involved in, you can find via the network that covers this show. So that's searching at SJP World Media on Twitter, X, Facebook, Spotify, all these places, YouTube, everywhere like this. By finding the actual handle at SJP World Media, you get the links to all the other shows that are involved on the network as well. And we have stuff that covers music, football, the volley being live during the Euros. I'm really looking forward to that. We have more wrestling content, looking at WCW and so on. So much going on. We have Doctor Who pod on there. The waiting room, looking at Quantum Leap. Loads and loads and loads
The
of stuff.
amazing
Make sure you
No
are.
Player Left Behind. Don't forget that.
Yes,
Amazing
indeed.
content.
Make sure you're following Benny there as well. And that's all via at SJP World Media. But most importantly, you can find and follow this show itself on the old X, Twitter, and Facebook at @chain_wrestling. And on Twitter is where you'll find the non-wrestling topic, the weekly poll, and so on. So make sure you're getting involved. Make sure you're retweeting everything. You're voting in the polls. And you're asking your mates to come along as well, because we want to make this as much fun for as many people as we can on a Monday night. And I want to say on that note, thank you so much to everybody who has been involved tonight and the previous weeks we've done since we come back from me taking a week or two off because of what happened with my dad and so on. It's been absolutely fantastic. Monday nights, I love.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the people in the chat and your good self, Magsy. So it's awesome having all these comments on Twitter and everyone joining us live and just trying to have a little bit of escapism for 2 hours plus, I suppose, on a Monday evening.
You're all amazing. Give yourself a pat on the back.
There we go. There we go. I'm off now, Magsy, to run to the toilet because I've drank far too much tea. I'll speak to you next week, my friend.
For Christmas, Sal wants a Barry Windham figure with its arse hanging out.